And then I do think to myself, if I'm really going to try and build a building that's assuming no electricity, no additional energy input, except wood probably, even though I want to minimize that too. The only thing I can really think of where you would have to use it is cooking. And then there may be some other lighting options. I mean, I have to have bees for candles or something. There's a lot of issues here. It's more complex than I said in that other video. But I'm going to have to partner with people. I simply can't handle this. I can't do anything. So I'm going to have to partner with people who want to finance it. And I'm also going to have to partner with people who want to build it. People who are excited by a vision of making an ancient town using all the technologies gathered from anything we can come up with traditional structures. And that means there's going to be stonework, there's going to be wood carving, there's going to be metalworking, so I need to build a whole forge. And we're going to use recycled metal for that. I don't have a mine here. So that's going to be a trickier part where I could literally partner with 100 people. And they would all be handling different aspects of it. So somebody's taking care of the horses and somebody's investigating stuff to do with making buggies. And I'm working with local people to use their skills and resources. And I think it sounds like a really exciting project because I've never heard of anybody talk like that. And of course, what I would be doing would be designing things that fit within this climate. But because I'm in a fairly moderate climate, a lot of those systems would make sense for other climates as well. And there would be some adjustments. Obviously, things like latitude, rainfall, the calculations of how much rain storage you need versus the amount of capture. Solar dehydrators I didn't mention, but that should be part of it completely. Which plants you grow in which places is totally different. But a whole bunch of plants should be grown everywhere. Like I was just reading in this book, this Best American Science and Nature Writing book. This is really a nice read. I'd love to get other copies of this. This one's from 2008. I bet you there's a whole bunch of other ones that are cool. But there's just so many things we can do now that we didn't know about in ancient times. And through the lens of using less energy, having less waste, as opposed to everyone else who's saying, well, we have to think of how to have more energy and we have to have nuclear energy to keep civilization going. And I'm like, no. Let's go backwards while retaining the scientific knowledge that we have now and the genetic diversity we have available. I mean, the Americas didn't even have horses during colonization. Apparently there was megafauna and all sorts of stuff everywhere. And that was another cool thing I was reading about in here, which I've read about before, about rewilding and getting big animals to grow again. I mean, we could grow deer here with the intention that we eventually release them. And it could be that civilization is collapsing while we're restoring wildlife and restoring a balance to the earth. And hopefully not everyone will die. Otherwise, I don't know if there was a point. I mean, the earth could just become a big rock anyway. Who'd care? But we think it matters. We want comfort. We want to think we're smart. We want to use our scientific knowledge. And so I'm looking at, all this, there was a section on the periodic table of elements and who discovered what elements when. And I'm like, well, I don't even know how to make that element. I mean, you can make potassium nitrate to make gunpowder with out of pee. I don't know how to do that. And it sounds like it's a pain in the ass, actually. But there's so much that could be done. It would be like the coolest science project ever would be to do science in the most primitive ways we can and then optimize that, because that could be the future of civilization, when all the other systems fail, when a solar flare comes and fries all the satellites, when a volcano goes off and it's winter for 3 years, what happened, 576 AD or something was like the worst year in history. Well, it wasn't probably. There was other ones too. There's going to be a lot of shit that occurs. We know that. It's not a question of if it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. Shit has always happened. It's going to happen again. And so if we learn how to dig in, we learn how to collect all these awesome plants and create microclimates for them. If we understand how to ferment veggie ferments, and ferment other stuff, and if we know how to not keep all the babies from dying, because even right now in Africa, tons of babies die of malaria, and we could have quinine trees, and there's just all this opportunity we have if we change the mentality to not be energy rich. Because everybody I've ever talked to in my whole life, anything I've ever read, has always been, well, we've got to make sure we get more energy. Let's get more energy. We have to have energy. And it's like, well, we might not have it. So let's be realistic. Civilization as we know it is kind of undoubtedly going to die. And so that is an opportunity for us, while we still have a lot of energy, to use transitional technologies, but with the target being to create, for different climates, architecture and even culture. Cultural evolution occurs where we have some societies that kill each other a lot and other ones that are peaceful. And so we can develop social structures where we can have justice, where we can have rules we follow that we expect other groups to follow, and we will require them to do that. And if they don't follow those peaceful rules for the correct use of land, we kill them. War has always been with us. There's never been like a peaceful people. Some anthropologists at various points have said, oh, there's these peaceful people out there. And it's like, well, it turns out later when you go in and measure it that a large percentage of them were actually dying from murder. And so this is cultural evolution, cultural technology, where we can say, okay, here's how we're going to do things, and there can be a variety of ways of doing things. They don't have to all be the same, right? We're not trying to come up with the one correct worldwide civilization, but we have to come up with the one worldwide civilization agreement about how to not destroy your neighbors and the land you're on. Because some civilizations have fallen apart because they used resources wrong. So for me, this is like the hardest to think of project you can really imagine, is how do we create our physical and our cultural infrastructure such that we don't need all this energy anymore. And we're living healthier lives than ever before. We've gotten rid of a ton of diseases. I'm reading like stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how to make a vaccine against something that's common like malaria, although that's dangerous too, because then we just breed mosquitoes that kill us better. Mosquitoes are a big killer worldwide. So that is it. That's the big project, that if I can write it up and communicate it well enough, and I have a space to implement it, and other people could also do analogous experiments. I don't care. It doesn't have to be proprietary. Like, we can work together on making a bunch of experiments like this, and within, 20 to 50 years, we could actually learn the physical infrastructure part of it. I think that the cultural aspect is probably harder because we're kind of assholes, and we should probably stop being assholes. So that part's tougher, but I gotta have partners to do it. And just on my own land, 20 people, 50 people, 100 people dedicated to doing it, figuring out their own funding, drawing in funding, some expert minds and also strong hands, because a lot of this work is going to be really physical. We're not going to have cranes and, yeah, sure, I mentioned, we could use bulldozers for now, but we should figure out how we're going to do things without that technology as well. I mean, there's a kind of a cabin that I want to make where I thought about having one team make it with hand tools and one team make it with electric and gasoline tools, and then compare the difference between those two projects. That'd be really exciting. Like, there's so many exciting sub-projects with this. There's so many ways we could learn how to grow a particular plant that is hard to grow here, but we can find just the right microclimate. And also, there could be climate change, and it could be that that plant flourishes here later, or it dies off completely and we can't keep it alive. But we have so much more wealth, biological wealth, than we ever had before. Like all the food that came from Europe to the Americas and the Americas to Europe, potatoes, tomatoes, tobacco, not that that's a great plant, and then plants that came from there to here. And with great caution, we can make plant collections where we're all 10 times richer in the variety of plants we have available and the nutrition available. And we can continue to breed plants. Like, there's all these plants that came off of mustard, right? Broccoli and a bunch of other plants. I forgot them all. But we can continue to breed plants on purpose, and I would really rather not do any DNA engineering. One of the sections in that book was about, hey, it's going to be really easy. We can all do lots of DNA engineering of everything. And I'm like, we're going to fucking totally die if we do that. And we probably will do it, which is just one more reason we're probably all going to die. Because all it takes is one person to make some dumbass organism, and it will kill us all. Anyway, good luck.